Hello, Happy New Year! For those of you who don't know me and haven't watched my videos before, my name is Brea Griffiths. A lot of people know me from my healing testimony through the dynamic neural retraining system, which is on their website, on their testimonies. I'm a wellness coach. I coach people through the brain retraining process, especially those who are interested in healing through God, or having a faith in God and putting that trust and that faith in Him, who know they can't do it on their own. Maybe even having started the brain retraining process, you've recognized that there's some spiritual element to this healing, and you're just curious to know more about what that is. So I work with people of various faiths. I definitely use the Bible as a foundation because I believe it is absolute truth, and there's a lot of wisdom to be gained from it through the words of Jesus. So that said, I'm here today. Okay, I'll give an update first. It's the new year, and Happy New Year, Happy 2022. I actually rung in the new year with my kids, and it was gonna be this awesome evening. But then I ended up alone watching the Elevation Church Praise Party, which was amazing. And I just had this overwhelming kind of just deer in the headlights kind of time with just hearing from God about how amazing 2022 is going to be. So I'm just resting in that right now. So a couple of updates. One, there is a new podcast that should be coming out in the next few days after I upload this. One of my clients, actually, it's her company she owns. She has been battling stage 4 breast cancer, had a terminal diagnosis, so we've been working together. She's now working with, I forget the name of it, but it's brain retraining for cancer. So anyway, so she's awesome. And so she interviewed me on her podcast for her company, which is a pretty big podcast. So I'm excited for that to come out, and I'll certainly share the link when their release happens. Secondly, I am just finally starting, after so many people who have asked me, are you doing group coaching? It's been very, very, very busy between, 3 kids, this business, and my schooling, and just also my own personal life. So I am in the very early stages of now just talking about now putting together group coaching down the line. I don't have a launch date yet. I hope it won't be that long, but with these things, it's going to be what it takes. So I have some people that are working together with me on putting that together. So if you are interested, please don't hesitate to contact me through my website, breacatrin.com. There's the contact page, or you can email directly to that email address. It's my admin email address. It's info@breacatrin.com. And you just let us know if you're like, I definitely want to know more about this. Please keep me updated. I don't want to miss out. We'll get that together and a list out. And anyway, I hope there'll be a bit of a marketing campaign to get that out. Okay, so 2 things I want to do today. They're not even related, but that's okay. I want to do them quickly because I always make long videos, and I want you guys to watch my videos in its entirety. So we're going to be concise. So I want to talk about my diet, because I get asked that a lot about, well, what does it actually look like to have a healthy diet? And this is so fascinating about this kind of a journey, is that we just lose sense of what's normal. And is it okay to actually eat what other people eat who haven't gone through these journeys? Everybody's different. So you got to find your own balance of kind of normalcy. But I personally I'm in I kept expanding my diet even beyond healing. I didn't realize that it was still kind of, not avoidance, but just, I guess I just didn't feel completely comfortable with going maybe 2 days without eating lots of greens or something. Now I have no idea if I do or I don't. I know that, so this is the thing, I'm secure in the way that I know I have healthy eating patterns. So I'm never going to go very far from eating lots of healthy foods and whole foods. So I feel, again, I go back to my heart, I don't feel like I have to monitor myself and pay attention anymore, because I know that I'm healthy and I know that I can eat whatever I want. And I also know I just make now, I make naturally healthy decisions. I have a lot of wisdom in nutrition, like anybody who goes through these journeys, generally. So I eat everything that I want to eat. I mean, I don't eat oysters because I hate them, but sorry if you like oysters. But I don't eat everything organic. I don't eat, I eat processed foods probably more than I like to admit, to be honest, because those tend to be the foods that I go to when I'm like, I just don't feel like cooking, and I don't, it's just like, I'm in a rush. Like, what do I have? And that's fine for me, because I know that I still eat really, really healthy. So I do eat a lot of whole foods. I mean, I eat meats, I eat dairy, I eat lots of grains, but I still also eat lots of vegetables. Now, I mean, like, okay, so yesterday was kind of an not off day, but it wasn't a normal weekday. It was because my kids are off. We had dentist appointments. And anyway, I went for a run in the morning. I didn't really have time to eat breakfast. I don't care anymore, except I ate some roasted Brussels sprouts because I knew that I wasn't going to be eating for hours. And I was like, man, that's probably not, I'm not fasting today. I'd like to eat something. Then later I had a Subway sub with a foot long, because I was hungry, tuna sub with lots of stuff on it. Later on in the day, I didn't feel like cooking, so I picked up just a roasted chicken at the grocery store. I did buy the one, because they had them, that had, no antibiotics or hormones, I don't know, whatever it is. The healthier option, but if they didn't, I would have just bought the regular one. And then some, like, ancient grain package that I just microwaved, and some roasted cauliflower. So that's just an example, but I do tend to eat probably 1.5 times on average a day, 1.5 meals a day, eat a good amount of greens and vegetables. But I do eat, like, my kids are constantly inundated with junk food between Halloween, Christmas, all that, and I let them have a little bit here and there. So mom eats it too, and I have no problem with that. And I don't monitor it. I'm fine. And I know that over the long term that I eat healthy, and I'm not impacted anymore by what I eat. So literally nothing is off the table. I do eat a fair amount of grains. I try to get my stuff at Costco, which has a lot of organic options. So that's, but I mean, we still have Cheerios in the house, and I buy my kids, I call it treat cereal that I buy them, like Corn Bran, or, okay, that doesn't sound like much of a treat, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That was a big deal. So, like, they don't eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch every day. They eat actually oatmeal that they homemade, and then they have a bowl of cereal. My boys, they're big. But that's like, man, back in the day, they wouldn't have been getting that. There would have been fruit and, smoothies, and so I'm pretty lenient now compared to how I used to be. Okay, I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I hope that gives you some balance. Like I bought a case of Fresca for the first time in a long time, not that long ago. I don't normally do that though, because it's sweetener, but I mean, I eat Trident gum all the time. I eat sweetener all the time. Okay, those are some tidbits anyways. I hope that helps. This is what I'm going to title this video, which is, I can recognize fear. Why can't I overcome it? And I encounter this a lot. And at first, I was having a hard time, I think, on my own, even dealing with this. And then, but then I got a handle of it. So, and I never really had the greatest language until I started to coach people more and realized that, okay, how do you say this? So I'm not gonna. So people come to me and they're like, I recognize that there's either, well, maybe even it's an emotion or even an it that they've got, a physical it. So you can have physical, psychological, or emotional, and it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. And none of them mean that you have a personality flaw, and it doesn't mean you have some trauma that you need to go back and explore and heal from. Sometimes yes, but I'm not saying that there could be something repressed, but I'm not gonna, we're gonna stay away from that right now. So say you can recognize, man, I just, anger even, or just, we're going to talk about fear specifically, because in the end, even if it is anger, I still believe that there's fear behind that. And I could find fear in like everything. I was like, wow, I didn't realize I had so much fear. So why can't I overcome it? So we're going to talk about how there's your nervous system in this state. Again, it's not a personality flaw, so I want you to learn this isn't my identity and who I am. It's not about me. It's about this reflex that's coming in because I have a sensitized nervous system that creates these different issues in my body, even if it is ruminating thoughts or whatever. And so right now you're in that state. We're just going to say you're in that state already. That's where you are. We can't control that at this time. It's coming. It's there. Most people tend to try to run from it, avoid it, resist it, just try to fight it. And oftentimes that does not work. And that's a situation that generally that now people are in is a repeated pattern of this. They might not have even realized it themselves in their own life. And that's me, that I didn't realize when I had avoided some of these things that were, I guess, painful or just I didn't know how to deal with. So I kind of just pushed through and move on. And created a pattern in there of, and then that, so then now, then a reflex gets strengthened and then a response is, the secondary response becomes more automatic, which is generally fear, run, paralysis, or whatever it is. It could be anger. It could be, that fighting, that resistance. There's lots of different things. So, but I want to give you your power back and say that all that matters is that secondary part. So there's two parts, that reflex, and then there's the secondary part, which you get to choose now. You have free will in there. It might not feel like it at first, but you will get to the place as you do your brain retraining properly. Again, this is just like a short window into this, and I would need to expand upon this with my clients to really help them get it if they're struggling. That how you respond to that secondary phase is all that matters. It's now I have control over how I respond. I can choose to achieve calm in this place while I'm going through it. I can choose my response and change away from my automatic response, which would have been to fight it, to run from it, to be afraid of it. And when you change your response, ultimately you're not adding any more fuel to the fire, and that initial reflex pathway will die down. It's just, there's no fuel left if you continue to go a different direction. So if those of you who are doing DNRS, they talk about something called POPs and opposites. So this gets intertwined with that. I'm not going to talk about DNRS specifically because that's their program. So all that matters is how you respond. And that's an important concept because it can make you feel like a winner and like you're finally in control. And then over time, as you use the principles of neuroplasticity, which are focus, association, and repetition, FAR, that you whatever you're focusing on, and then you associate with it a certain way, and then you repeat it, you're building a program in your brain. So we're going to shift away and build a new program in that brain to operate out of. So it can take time and repetition to do this, but it's important to recognize in those moments, it's okay that that's coming up. I can, in a sense, bring it in, don't resist it, and it's all about how I respond in that secondary phase. So you can think primary fear, secondary fear, which I think someone had told me about Dr. Claire Weeks, and I just looked her up on Wikipedia, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I talk about. That's so cool. Okay, so that's why people can't overcome it, is because they don't recognize that because people tend to identify with their behaviors as if it's their identity, and then they get frustrated, then they get weary, they feel like there's something wrong with them, and they take that behavior on as their identity, and then it repeats and then just gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm here to say that you can overcome it when you separate the two and you start to see that it's here, and with patience and time and doing this in a methodical way. Again, all from the heart. So that's something I help people do, open up the heart. So this becomes a heart change, because at first it can feel really hard when they're really, really strong, especially those its that are really, really strong. And you're like, I don't have free will. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you don't have free will in those moments. I know, I've been there. But over time, you will as you continue to walk this out. So, okay, I hope that blesses some people. I hope that made sense. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I hope that people will watch this. But thank you so much for those of you who watch my videos, for your encouragement. Thank you for all of you that I work with who tell me consistently how blessed they've been and how much my journey, even though they're like, I'm sorry you went through it, but I'm really thankful you can help me now. And it's really cool, because I never thought that I'd get to the place now where I'm like, you know what? I am thankful for going through it. It's really hard for me to say that out loud without people probably being like, she's crazy. Because I think that I would have earlier, even a year and a half ago, would have said, she's crazy. Like, I would never say that. I will never be thankful for this journey. And it's just through time. Like, if you've watched I did a recent quick 3-minute testimony. It's on my Facebook page. Somebody did it. It's Andrew Womack Ministries and CIRS Bible College. And I was interviewed. And so they had me repeat a few of the questions they wanted to ask me. And so in the video that got put on, I don't know if it was the second or the third time that I was answering the question, and I was talking about a bit of my history, and I could see, I watched it myself, and I was like starting to like, you could see I was like fidgeting with my hands in like more of like a nervous way, because it was starting to get to me that I was having to go there, especially when I talk to somebody about it and they're like really, it's like, whoa, like they just kind of, that emotion kind of comes on their face that I can see. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that happened. But for the most part, I'm just completely separated from it. It's probably good that I do stuff like that more, but at the same time, I don't want to ever lose that sense of like, look where I've come from, because there's just so much gratitude in my heart for God and my own journey, and also being able to connect with those who are going through hell. And it was hell. It really, really was. I think one day when I share more, I would love to one day share more in depth. I mean, I have story after story after story that would just drop your jaws over and over and over again of what I've come through and what I faced, and the situations that were otherworldly. So they're in here. They're in here somewhere. I'd have to dig to find them all, but there's a lot in there, enough to produce a trilogy. It's just a movie of some sort. Anyway, I'm just babbling. So thank you for watching. I am so, so blessed to get to come into your living room, to be a part of your life. I pray that there are things that in my own journey that you can use in your own journey to health and wholeness. I believe this is for everybody. There's not just some select few that this works for. It's just the way God made your brain. Your brain is made to heal. Your brain and your body are made to come into rest and digest and to do what God wants it to do, which is to heal and to walk in health here. So anyway, thank you so much for watching.